The next section is called Spaces of Tradition and Ritual. And I think I talked a little about this earlier, but in different countries and different practices, there always are different ways people behave in a cemetery. This is an example of two women in Japan doing the ritual in front of the gravestone where they light a candle and pour a drink maybe for the person who's deceased, and then they bow and they say a prayer. And this is what every family does when they go into the space. It's very, very common tradition. This is another woman doing this in a different cemetery in Japan, gardening, and that's a common ritual that happens almost every cemetery to make sure that the space is clean and cared for, because then that shows that the family is still caring for the person who's passed away or the family. This is in Père Lachaise in France, in Paris, and it's a very famous cemetery. And this is next to Jim Morrison's grave, and everyone leaves a little scrunchie or hairband. So that's a ritual that people do. And some rituals are not maybe necessarily have a lot of meaning, or they're only specific to one space, but they can become this big thing that means a lot because everyone does it. And I was talking earlier about how the leaves leave stones on top of gravestones, and it kind of is a symbol of memory. But this is also an example of people actually leaving the stones on top of the graves themselves, and it's a example of a tradition of when you enter the cemetery, you leave the stone, and when you leave the stone, and when you come back the next time, and it builds up over time. Here's another example of that. This is a ceremony that's happening on the anniversary of a war in Berlin, and it's a like a Veterans Day ceremony, and this is when people are gathering and having a yearly dedication to people who passed away fighting in a war. Yeah, in a cemetery in Japan called Koyasan, these two monks are bringing breakfast to one of the people who's buried there, who's the founder of the Japanese Buddhism. So every day and every afternoon, they bring breakfast and lunch to the grave, or, well, the person kukai is not actually thought to be dead, but they keep bringing. Instead, he rests in eternal meditation. So every day they bring this person food. He can stay alive and keep meditating. But in fact, he is passed away. I mean, people generally understand that, but it's a tradition that's happened for thousands of years. And so they keep doing this every day as tradition. And these are little statues in Japan that are also in the same cemetery, and they are dressed up, makeup, and with hats and with these bibs, and they are symbols and decorated as little. They're called Jizo statues, and they're for children who have passed away that have not yet reached or practiced Buddhism and reached a space where they could reach eternal meditation. And so they're kind of left in limbo. And so the parents dress up these statues and give them wishes so that they can protect their children who have passed away. And then also it's sort of been adapted into something that's for good luck as well. So it started out as this one ritual for children, and now it's kind of cascaded into something for everyone. Here too is another example of that. These red bibs are really, really common, and you'll find them at the center of entrance of any cemetery.